Hi, my name is Neil Anderson with SkillShark, and today we're going to focus specifically on the benefits for sport academies using SkillShark and why you'd want to use SkillShark. So if you think about some of the challenges that academies have with, you know, producing reports for athletes that come into your facility, oftentimes we have a lot of academies that use us now who used to try to record a bunch of stuff while the athlete's in front of them. And then after the athlete leaves, they go back to their computer, they put it into Excel, they try to massage a Word document or an email to send out, and it's done on an ad hoc basis. Very, very painful and time consuming. Now with SkillShark, they're going to evaluate the kid right in front of them, right in the SkillShark app. They can take videos, they can add comments with the tap of a finger, and everything's done instantly. As the kid is taking off their shoes, the person can send the report card out and they can be in their inbox before they even leave the facility. So it's a fantastically quick, convenient way to get reporting, professional looking reporting back out to the kids that they'll enjoy. So today we're going to focus on just dive into a demo group. And even though SkillShark does all sports, we can do anything, any sport under the sun that you evaluate. This demo group that we're going to look at is just going to look at a baseball demo group. So I'm going to dive into our baseball demo group. And okay, here we go. So if we go to the players page, we've got, I'm just going to start off with a fresh group here. So let's say I've imported all these kids. And regardless of what system I import them from, or I should say, regardless of what registration system you use, if it's not one of these main ones, every single registration system has a way to export out to a CSV. And then through the spreadsheet import, you would just import it through there. And extra things that you'd want to add to that spreadsheet before you import would be, let's say you had a column called, in the case of baseball, one called catcher, and beside every kid you just put an X beside them. Pitching, you put an X beside any kid trying out for pitching. For positional, probably every kid would have an X beside them. So and then you'd import that. You could have a column marked time slot, or whatever the time period is that that group is being tested at, because different age groups come at different times typically. You could import that as well to SkillShark. But let's say I didn't import that time slot in, and I just want to take everybody and auto-assign them to a list. I can assign them based on the criteria, like I say, if like the time slot. Or if I didn't import that, I can just say I want to randomly create 4 lists and call each group that, and now I've got 4 lists numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. Just evenly spreads out the kids in a random fashion. So now when the kids are trying out, I can say, okay, group 1 over here, group 2 over here, etc. And I can quickly filter to see only that group in the mobile app. The next thing we're going to do is, now in the case of an academy, a better example of this, you're probably going to have, here's my list of Monday 6 p.m. kids. Here's my list of Tuesday 4 p.m. kids, etc. And then that way you can, and kids can be part of multiple lists. You might have a kid who's, comes in 2 or 3 times a week. You can have them as part of multiple lists. The next thing we're going to do, let's say when we created this group and we chose the baseball template, SkillShark gives you a good starting point, but you can customize this template of what you're actually measuring to be whatever the heck you want it to be. So, for example, for hitting, speed, outfielding, infielding, etc., that kind of thing under positional, you can have subjective measurements like your opinion, subjectively how good the kid's hitting mechanics is, how well they make contact with the ball. If you're fortunate enough to have a pocket radar device, then you can, provide concrete measurements on bad exit velos. If you don't have an instrument to measure the ball velocity, then you might just use a subjective measurement like power. So visually, based on the kid's bat speed, how well you think the kid's power would be when they make contact. Those are just some examples. If anything else comes to mind, you can add any subjective or objective metric that you want to the list. We have built-in stopwatches in SkillShark. So if you're running 10s, 40s, 60s, home to first, home to second, whatever the time measurement is, you can do that very easily. And these built-in stopwatches in the SkillShark app, and it just automatically logs the times. Something I've added extra to this template is character. So I've added this skill called character. Within any skill, you need at least one metric for it to be valid. And in this case, we've got 4 metrics. Their coachability, work ethic, leadership, team attitude. The first time you see a kid, you're not necessarily going to get a good read on this. But as time goes on, you're going to get a better impression about how much effort is the kid putting in week after week. So you can start measuring the kid's work ethic. How well do they listen to your advice as a coaching staff, that kind of thing. And not only can you measure this stuff, but on this skill specifically, I'm going to show you something in a little bit where the athletes can assess themselves. And rather than leaving it just as a single word, you can spell it out like a complete question. So if we go over here to self-assessments, I might have created a self-assessment event where I asked all my athletes, how would you rate your willingness to listen to the coaching staff on a scale of 0 to 10? And the kid will measure themselves, and you instantly get to see what's going on inside your kids' heads. You can ask them any questions you want, phrasing it so that a young kid will understand it. And yeah, it's a great way to get feedback rather than having a one-on-one or two-on-one conversation with an athlete that sometimes they might feel targeted. Other things that you can do, message center. So for example, let's say I want to create a brand new message and I want it to go to all players of a certain time slot saying, hey, for my Monday 4 p.m. class, the facility is going to be closed, so it's been rescheduled to next week or whatever the message is. And you can save these as templates so that you don't have to keep recreating it. You can reuse the same template over and over. Other things that you could do, like if we go back to the template on what we were going to be measuring, something else we can do here is pre-filled comments. So picture we as coaches find ourselves repeating the same advice over and over and over to kids. So rather than you having to type out the same advice on 100 kids, the same advice to 30 of them, you can put in all of your typical best gems of what your advice is. And when the time is right, you just tap it in with your finger on the kid's report card. So in this case, the comments section under hitting would have these 6 options. You just tap in whichever one applies to the kid you're looking at that moment in time. So it's a very quick and easy way to add content to the report cards. If we go take a look at the report cards, so you're going to use the mobile app to gather a bunch of data once you've created an event, and now you can send the report cards out. So let's take a look at, we'll use a bunch of data here and gather some good information. And here's a report card for Justin Smith. I can see the kid score in blue versus the group average of his peers in orange. And different people might want to view data different ways. So instead of viewing it all like this, I might choose to view it like a web graph and see my scores in blue and the group average in orange. I could also see any comments that were added to the kids' report card. I could see videos. If I took videos of the kid in the box taking some swings, for example, I could have that tied to the kid's report card. And more importantly, we can automatically assign developmental videos, and it appears at the bottom of the kids' report card in this section called recommended resources, for anything that you have set up a rule for. For example, any kid, in this case, who scores lower than blanket of 10 on hitting mechanics, I went out to YouTube and I found this fantastic video that describes on how to improve it. And now it appears in this section automatically. So the kid and the parent receive the report card, and now they've finally received direction that they can refer to as to what they need to work on specifically for their son or daughter. So it's a fantastic way to provide resources. Other report cards that we can get into are weighted reports. So you know, everything that we measure as a sport academy is not necessarily equally important to each other. So for example, if I wanted to make a report called top catchers, I may not care. I could include some of this stuff, but I'm definitely not going to include their outfielding or infielding ability, because that's not what I'm measuring. So if I include the catching metrics, I could say their physical side of things, like their accuracy and that kind of stuff, is worth 60 points. Their mechanics and that kind of stuff is worth 40 points. And then within this, I could also break down, okay, accuracy is going to be worth 50 points. This is going to be worth 10. This is going to be worth 10, 15, and 15. Whatever my recipe is, and I can create a report, and it automatically ranks all my catchers from best to worst based on that recipe. So for this first kid, I can assign him to team A, next kid to team A, and let's say I'm putting 3 catchers on those teams, and I'm doing it all the best on one next. Or I could do a snake draft, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, etc. However you want to do your draft. This is the way to create your teams manually. We just launched a report called the Cumulative report, which allows you to do not only that weighting I just showed you, but it also automatically drafts kids onto teams. And yet you can still do some tweaks afterwards, in the case of twins who need to be on the same team, that kind of stuff. Any adjustments can be made, but it'll automatically give you a good starting point to draft your team. So if you've got, we've talked to a lot of groups who spend a lot of time drafting, but in an academy setting like you guys are, you may not get into travel teams and that kind of stuff. It might just be classes. So yeah, these reports, let's say I made a weighted report, I can then within seconds make a leaderboard. And let's say I made a weighted report just based on their 60 time. 10 seconds later, I can make this leaderboard. And the neat thing is this leaderboard is going to populate live as the data is being gathered by my evaluators on the field. So if I'm holding a baseball showcase, for example, and I've got different skill stations set up, like throwing over here, running over here, that kind of thing, these different leaderboards of fastest runners or hardest throwers will populate live and cycle through as time goes on here. And you can control the cycle speed and how many athletes get shown on per page, that kind of thing. Very neat way to display that. And then you as the academy would just take that URL and put it as a hyperlink on your academy's website, and it drives traffic to your website. So a very effective way to draw traffic. One other big thing that you'll definitely want to do is, as you start gathering data over multiple events, you're then going to be able to track the development of the kids' progress throughout your program. So you're going to see, now this is just a bunch of random data, but you'll see the home to first times get quicker and quicker. Their throwing velocities get stronger and stronger. Bad exit velos get stronger, that kind of thing. So it's a great way to show and kind of close that loop in the kid's mind about the more effort you put in, the more effect it's going to have on your development. And this really helps close that loop rather than just verbal information going back to the kids. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick run through of what SkillShark can do. There's actually a lot more that it can do, but this is just a quick run through on some of the basics. If you want to reach out to us, there's a link down below for you to reach out to us, and we'd love to hear from you. We'll set up a time to set up your free trial account, and you could test SkillShark out before you ever spend a penny. So we want to make sure that you're 100% satisfied. With that, have a good rest of the day, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.